Hello? Just wait a minute. Hello? Hello? Just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Hello? 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 Okay, so let's start now. You're free to talk in the YouTube chat or in Discord. I can respond to you. So today I wanted to cover. So last week we were talking about like support and resistance. So now let's do some like indicators, technical analysis. Um, okay, so when I'm trading, um, the only indicators I'm really using are these moving average bands and then stoch cycles. You don't really need RSI, but I mean you can look at it. It's kind of helpful, but you can't really trade off of it, in my opinion. So the basic concept is start at the beginning. When the bands are going one way, that's the trend, okay? And when they flip, the trend flips. So here, it flips, and then the trend changes. And also conceptually, uh, if the trend is going one way, you want support to hold on the bottom of these bands. Let me switch to an older chart. You can hear me, right? Okay, okay. So basically, when the trend is going this way, wait, let me change my push talk key. Okay, that's not gonna work. Okay, when the trend is going one way, you want the price to hold the bands, okay? And if the price breaks the bands convincingly in the model, that means that price is going back to either around the 200 MA or the 314 MA. And based on where it's bouncing relative to that is showing you strength. So when we were bullish, right, in 2017, we were bouncing very. At the beginning, we were holding lower, okay. Like we were holding like the 300, and then we started holding like closer to the 200. And then as the trend got a lot stronger, we were not even getting close to it. So this is kind of showing you the strength, and it's also giving you an idea of where you want to buy for dips. Again, levels holding, and then we're looking at the top. It's still holding, so you can you want to kind of take trades at the bottom of them. But then here is when it broke, and so that means we're going back to this level or this level, and that's what happens. And you'll be surprised how accurate the 200 and the 314. I use 314. I don't know, it's a magic number, but it's very accurate sometimes. And yeah, basically that's how it works. And then if you break this level, the 314, then you're entering a longer term bear trend. So when the trend flips, you want to be shorting the top of the bands, just like you were longing the bottom. And then it becomes the same idea. If the bands are breaking, we go back to the 200 or the 300. And then we flipped around here. Actually, before we broke out, we had already flipped. And then we started holding the bands. And then we get some crossovers here. And so far we haven't even gotten close to the bottom of the bands because the trend is so strong. But if it starts to break down, you want to first be buying around here. That's why I talk about these levels when I say I want to buy with fiat around 9,500 to 8,500. This is kind of like first support. Probably get a reaction around here, and then depending where it bounces to, if it wants to keep going back down, probably stop around, I don't know, around here. So that's the idea. And the higher the time frame, the more powerful they are going to be. Um, Generally for Bitcoin, I've been using the 3-day. And it's also useful for the stoch cycles. You want to be trading kind of conceptually with time. You want to be thinking about the cycles of the market, you know? There's up and down. It's just oscillating, okay? And the stoch cycle visualizes this for you. These are the settings I use. They're a bit different from the stock ones. But basically, like, if you were trading Bitcoin purely off of this, you would have probably been like selling into here, and then you're buying back down here, you're selling again, you're buying back, you're selling again. And that's what I was doing in 2018. And now you can see like the cycle's high. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to come down. It can just stay high for a while. But you do have to be aware, like, this kind of thing, it's eventually going to pull back. It might do this for a while, but it's going to pull back eventually. And you want to avoid trying to buy in like the middle of it, you know? You want to be aware of the cycle and the time it takes to reach towards the bottom, and that's when you want to become a buyer. So that's why I'm more of a seller around here. And same thing on the weekly, you know? The weekly's high, but doesn't mean it has to come down. Like, the weekly was high for a very long time. And the monthly was actually very interesting. Let's get rid of all this. Right. It started turning down, and then it didn't bounce until the bottom. So you could have just traded this monthly cycle, wait till it was low, and then bought. And we're still cycling up. You know, this is Bitcoin. So you don't know where this is going to stop. We could be here, honestly. You just have to be aware of that. And maybe the monthly just keeps going. It's entirely possible. And then along with these, the EMAs and the stoch, I also will use heikin candles, which is basically reducing noise and making the trend more visible. And the best thing you can do is trade with the trend in mind. You don't want to kind of counter trade the trend. It just becomes too difficult. So as you can see, like, just trading purely on heikin candles as well, you would have been like long from here, and then you would have sold here, and if you exited here, you wouldn't have bought back until 4K. But with heikin candles, you're still long here. Basically, the theory is like you exit only if the next candle closes below the previous high. So you wouldn't exit here. You would exit here actually. So this would have, if you were like shorting this, you would have missed this little bit. But it's just meant to help you follow the trend. And yeah, I mean, it's very useful. You can see this whole run. You didn't really have any reason to short if you were just trading on this until the top was in, and then we were at like 13k. Same thing with all these previous moves. It's hard to fade these. And so yeah, it's more useful, more powerful on higher time frames, but the system is usable on all time frames. So when I'm trading, when I'm scalping, I'm looking at this, at these levels, and at the bands, to try to find important areas, places to buy. So, like, for example, yesterday, we had like the first dip, right? But we didn't break the bands. So the bands hold, and then we did like a little stop run. And then once the bands break, it's down. And this is only the 15-minute. But the higher time frames are more important. I was looking at the hourly. So when we broke like here, you're looking for a return back to here. So I was longing a bit early, but that was mainly because I was so maybe a bit too euphoric from my short. So I just hopped in the trade a bit too soon. But the real place that we held was at these 200, 314 MAs. And as I was talking about last week, the midline of the triangle that we broke out from, very important. The breakout point is very strong support now. It's kind of like resistance now, and now it flips into support. So basically, if this level were to break, we would go down very quickly. So you make a bet, a trade, that will bounce here, and then will bounce pretty strong from here. But if you're wrong, then this level will break, so you're kind of stopping out here, because you think if this were to break, it would go down further, which is like the reverse busted breakout. So we have a breakout one way, it reverses, and then it busts the breakout here. And that's what happened here as well. We talked about this level last week, which was 12k, right? And I said if 12k breaks, this will invalidate this previous breakout, right? And you have this is the main larger consolidation pattern, and then you also had the other one at the top, okay? And at the top we consolidated at like 13k or just below it. So this is the same kind of theory as this. This one would be less resistance than this one though, because this is part of a bigger pattern, but still. So we look and we see like as soon as 12K broke, we go straight up to the next resistance, because we are invalidating the breakout. We have a breakout one way, it reverses, and then it busts the breakout. Okay, and then so I'm shorting here because I thought this was just a stop run. Okay, I didn't think this was convincing, and that's also why I went long at 12K when we started breaking 12K, because that was the level that I had talked about last week. So I thought if that breaks, we'll pump, and that's what happened. That's also where we bounced on this chart. And that's the same level that we're kind of consolidating at now. But if you're trading the bands, you can use them as a target. So the bands they can kind of flip now. We might enter a downtrend here. Kind of hard to tell, because sometimes it can just reverse back. But either way, you expect price to return to the bands. So your target for your long is like around here. And also with the bands, if it overextends too far from the bands, that's when you're trying to counter trade it. So like up here, we got really far from the bands, like they're here. So we're really overextended, and the orange one is the 8, which is a very important one. Usually if you're in a trend, the price is going to ride the 8. But if you get overextended from them, usually you'll come back. So that's a way to trade. Anyone have any questions about this? Yeah. Oh, and we also had a bear div here. I didn't really notice that, but you can see it now. And then we had like a even bigger bear div here on that second move up, but I was asleep for that. Would have liked to re-add on my short there, but yeah, the break above 13, in my opinion, was just a stop run. Because we went above rate, but we didn't really go very far. And right, that's also what I want to talk about. Stop hunts, very common in the Bitcoin market. The average trader, everybody's putting their stops in the same level, okay? So usually people will put it in front of a pattern, and so probably you had some stops here because people are putting their stops on, and they're betting on the breakout. I had my stop here, right? And then also at previous highs. So we had a previous high at 12K, so you expect a lot of stops around here, and this is a important level as well, 13K. It's a big number, so you have a lot of stops here. So if you get these are like liquidity pools for big players. So if the price is close to these levels, usually they're gonna go to them. And especially, people will have their liquidation level here as well because they think it's safe. And that's exactly where price will go. And they tap the liquidity pool and then they reverse. And that's also what happened right before we reverse. Kind of set a low, and as it consolidates, people are buying because they know it's going to pump, and they're right. But they're putting their stops below the previous low because they think, wow, it's not going to go there. That was crazy. There was like a lot of liquidations. Probably won't go back there. And that's exactly where they're running it. So they run it down there. You can see the volume. It's probably high on BIMX too. And then they buy up your stops, they buy up your liquidations, and then they send it back. So yeah, it's usable on different time frames. So we're on the 5 minute here, and it's been down. But now you can see it's squeezing. I also use Bollinger Bands occasionally. You can see the bands are getting tight. The moving averages are getting tight. So it's about to move. And if it breaks up here, then the bands are going to flip, and we're going to be in an uptrend again, and then it's going to go like this. Here's tensor charts. This is the BitMEX stats, which I think is only available if you subscribe. Which I was looking at. Oops. Alright, we can see back in time and see here's the open value, which is the amount of open positions measured in Bitcoin. So as we were consolidating here at 6K, open value is going up a lot, and then when it dumps, open value dumps because we have all these licks, like I don't know how many, hundreds of millions in licks. But anyways, basically everybody was longing here. And Arthur knows that you're longing, and the most money is to be made by dumping it. That's max pain. So you can see we dump, open interest drops back down, and then as we're consolidating again, open interest starts rising just like before. And then as soon as we break out of this range, we know we pump 25%, plummets back down because everybody was shorting the bottom. Very, very interesting. And then even here, open interest started rising again, and people are shorting here, and then you can see it when we pump, goes back down. And since then, it's actually been pretty flat. Open interest has gone up because it's measured in dollars, which is, it's going up because Bitcoin's going up. And pretty interesting, we've every time we've gone over 1 billion, we've had the liquidation shortly after. So we went over 1 billion at 13k, and then yeah, we liquidated everybody. Thanks for playing. It's like 200 mil, 250 mil in long licks. Yeah, looks like we're breaking up now. So probably do like this thing as the trend reverses. Kind of trapped bears here. We didn't dip at all, and then we just started going straight up. You're getting squeezed, and see people are getting, shorts are getting liquidated. So the only other indicator that I use is the Ichimoku cloud. Which is another tool for following the trend. So basically, you have 2 lines. I don't remember what they're called. They have Japanese names. But you have 2 lines. And when the one line is above the other line, you're in a bull trend. And then when it crosses and this line is above this line, you're in a bear trend. And pretty obvious. And then here we've crossed again. So this is your long point. If you're trading purely on Ichimoku, and you're still long, and you have no short signal yet, because you want this green line to cross this red line, pink line. So you can use this like that to trade based on trend, based on the 2 lines. You can also use it, and I see it commonly used for support and resistance levels. You expect price to bounce at the lines. If you're in a bull trend, you want it to bounce at the green line, I'm pretty sure. And then your second resort is the pink line, similar to how we were using the 200 and the 314. And you don't want the pink line to break. But you can see, pretty interestingly, we're finding support, and then later resistance, and then it fails to break it, so we break down. And then we cross over, and then we're bullish again. And then another way to use it is edge-to-edge cloud trades. So basically, you have this cloud, and the cloud represents your resistance and your support when below. And the idea is, if you enter the cloud, so here, you're entering the cloud, you take the long, and then your target is the other side of the cloud. So I actually posted this on Twitter when we were here, because we had this whole cloud above us. I said, here's your trade, and that's exactly what happened. It actually is very common. Um, so same thing here with Litecoin, enter target, and then it kind of becomes support and resistance as well. And then historically, who has old Litecoin? Ah, here we go. This is the most common example I saw of it. Maybe you know the guy. He's Josh. Josh Olszewicz. He does a lot of cloud trading. Um, he's been trading crypto for a long time. Anyways, this is Litecoin in 2015. Same thing. You have entry into the cloud. You have your target. It's a 2x trade, so you take the long, and there you go. These are pretty rare to find, but they have high accuracy when they happen, so something to watch out for. And it also works for the other side, so like you pierce the cloud, you're going to the other side. That's the idea. It's not 100%, but it's more than 50. I'm sure you could also find a bunch of clouds on alts. I know there's some different settings for alts. I'm not really sure what they are. I think it's on Josh Olszewitz's channel. You can check. These ones here, 20, 60, 120, 30. These are the most common ones for crypto and for Bitcoin. But I think you can use a different one for alts. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. Oh, my shit's fucking up, sorry. here we go. Yeah, somebody was asking about Ripple. I was looking at Ripple. You kind of have like a fractal here. It bounced, and then it's kind of grinding lower, and then you break out. But I mean, the thing with alts is, I don't know if it's worth it to be trying to buy this. You can try, but I think you have to be ready to average down a lot. I just don't think it's worth the risk. I've seen people trying to long the whole way down. You know, it just keeps going lower, and you can get right. You can be right. You can be the person who longs here, and wow, you know, you do a 2x or a 3x, but you're kind of just gambling. It's a bad trade. It's okay long term, but there's no reason it can't just keep going down, right? I think you would hope that it would bounce before there. So we have our previous low, and this is the real bottom. This is where all the volume was. So it would definitely bounce before this. But that is a 75% drop or a 50% drop, so it's hard to say. You're long on Ripple or any alt that looks like this is basically a short on Bitcoin. You're betting that Bitcoin's topped and is not going to 14k or higher, because if Bitcoin goes to 14k and then 20k, Ripple's gonna look like this. Yeah. Any other questions? Any alts you want me to chart? Anything? Do I use any bots? No. And I don't really believe any bot that you can find publicly is gonna make you money. Any profitable bot has no reason to be sold. And so unless you write it yourself, I don't think it's worth it. And the problem with writing bots is you'll backtest on data and you'll come up with a system that's profitable on your backtested data, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be profitable on your future data, because the market can change, things can be different. Okay. The only alts that I see that are bullish is Ren, which was a buy down here. It's not really a buy up here, but if we're to pull back, maybe you try to buy a dip. This is one of the few alts that just goes up. Phantom got listed on Bittrex, so that means it's available for US customers when Binance kicks them out. So in my opinion, that makes it bullish, and it's kind of like a new coin. So I was saying maybe you want to buy it here. This might be a buy, but I don't really want to touch alts right now. You also have Link, which is the most bullish alt. And I said you should be buying in here in front of a previous breakout point, and then kind of support flipped from resistance, and price like briefly dipped into there, and then it just went sideways for a bit, and then it broke out. So yeah, Link's bullish, but it's gone parabolic, corrected, but it can go up again. Other than that, most alts look completely fucked. It's a cool volume candle. They just keep breaking lower, painting bear flags, breaking down again. Bitcoin dominance. Pretty crazy, honestly. I thought it would stop, but the trend is up. I saw someone post this meme. Kind of like, maybe we'll stop somewhere around here. But if it keeps going up to here, that would be complete slaughter for alts. Like, they're going to zero. I was pretty surprised today when Bitcoin dumped and alts dumped too. It's not good. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll end it here. Alright, cool. Thanks, guys, and good luck trading. Alright, see ya.